Rocker Pat here. Hi guys, it's another hot, rockin', beautiful Texas day. And that one goes out to Ziggy Down Under. Alright guys, I'd like to introduce y'all to the newest member of the Dick family. Y'all know the Dick family. We got King Dick right here. We got Dick Trickle right here. We got Leroy Dick right here. And we go over there in the other building, we got Johnny Little Dick. And let me introduce y'all to the newest family, the member of the Dick family, Sketchy Dick. Yeah, that's his name. He's Sketchy Dick. And I apologize to all you boys out there, but I keep having boys and y'all are just gonna have to get over it. He came in a freaking baby blue coat, man. I mean, geez. Anyway, let's talk about Sketchy Dick. Now, y'all know I've been working on Sketchy Dick over here for the last few days, and I have been trying to get Sketchy Dick where he move under his own power, go down the road. I did successfully get to take him over there to that building, but unfortunately he had a little bit of a problem while I was there, and I aborted the whole scene and everything to get him back over here because he's leaking big time the red fluid. There's no cooler on the transmission, and I really should have been able to just, that's slow. I didn't rev it up, I didn't do anything but idle it. But I gotta get a cooler on there. Maybe that'll solve the problem. I don't know. Probably gonna be going a different route than that. But let's talk about Sketchy Dick and tell you what all the sketchiness that Sketchy Dick still has. First off, let's talk about the first things I had to deal with was the brakes. It's useless to get the engine running and it driving or anything if you don't have any brakes. So let's talk about what all I had to do to get the brakes. Well, the first thing I had to do was the back hoses, or not hoses, but the lines across the rear end. I had to replace those. I bent those up and flared them, and they look nice and tidy. The second problem was I had to readjust the line coming from the proportioning valve all the way back to the hose because they had it all janky. It's still janky. Let's take a look at it. It's still got a lot of sketch factor going on, but I'll get it taken care of. Okay, so let's see here. Can we see it? So you see how the line doesn't have anything holding the hose in the line. It's just kind of flexing out there at this point. That's something that needs to be made. Oh, by the way, first piece of sheet metal came in already. Very nice. Nice piece from Michigan, where it should be made from. It shouldn't be made anywhere other than Michigan. Anyway, back to the story. So, I replaced the lines, got all the lines going, couldn't get anything happening in the master cylinder. Got another master cylinder and put in there. I still couldn't get any fluid to go to any of the wheels, okay? So I ended up having to replace the hose in the back. I had to replace both the hoses in the front. Now remember, I don't know what any of these parts are. So I figured out that 79 Camaro is what we went with. The hoses were right. Put the hose on the passenger side, everything went fine. Came over here to the driver's side, doesn't fit the caliper. So we got two different year model calipers going on across Sketchy. So I got the right caliper on there, so I had to replace the caliper. Okay, so now I put hoses and the calipers on it, finally got brakes to work. Started Sketchy Dick up, put my foot on the brake after bleeding it and everything, and the brake booster just pulled the whole pedal to the floor and it just applied the brakes, and that was all. So I had to disconnect the brake booster. Got another brake booster coming, but it won't be here till Monday, so we don't have any power brakes anyway. But Sketchy Dick does have four-wheel brakes, which is good. Okay, so we got the brake problem solved. Now we moved over Thursday in the trunk. Let me open the trunk up here. I put the battery, I ran the battery back here, okay, because where they had it in the fender well, it was hitting the tire. So I ran the battery back here, ran new cable back. I ran a fuel line all the way back here. It's just a rubber hose, but I did put it in clamps and stuff like that. We just got one of those clickety-clack pumps. The first fuel tank that I had leaked, so I found this vintage boat tank, and it is vintage. It's all steel. It's got a little vent right here. It's a really kind of cool tank. I'm glad to have that. I found that and just strapped that in place and everything. So that's how Sketchy Dick is getting a drink. So we got brake, pedal. That's all working good down there. The car starts with the key, so that's not a problem either. I kind of really don't know if I want to crank it. Okay, so Sketchy Dick does run, but I got to fix that transmission problem. Now, let's talk about the problems with Sketchy Dick's engine, because Sketchy Dick has some problems with the engine. Remember, we had a fuel pump problem already. That's the first problem that I got, and they got it in a bad location, but that I overcome with the electric fuel pump, no problem. It can just sit there if that were the issue. Where the issue came in is I put some water in the radiator, and I warmed it up, and all of a sudden I had water hitting the ground, and there's probably a little bit hitting right now. There's a freeze plug underneath the engine mount that is leaking, so the engine has to come out of the car no matter what. Okay, so that's that. Okay, the engine has to come out. When I take the engine out, we'll fix a bunch of stuff on it. Transmission needs to come out. I already have a 350 turbo sitting on the other shop on the shelf. That's a backup, okay, that I took out of Harley Davidson, the El Camino. Okay, so I saved that transmission. I had my buddy go through it, and it's ready to go. So I already have a transmission if there's a transmission problem, and I'll probably just change the transmission and then deck this one over there, okay? Probably get him to overhaul it, have it on deck. Steering, oh my, the steering is so atrocious on this car, okay? A million times worse than what Jackie was. So what I have found was I filled up the power steering pump with a quart or plus of power steering fluid, and not only does the steering gearbox dump all the fluid out the input shaft, but there's something I think wrong with the steering gearbox. This thing just steers horrible. Okay, even when it had power steering, it still steers horrible. Now, I think that possibly some of that might be in this steering column, which is janky to begin with. It is a GM column. They've got some jank going on down there, and I mean, it's just there's something wrong there. Possibly the bearings, like Jackie had, but this steering column is so freaking short. It's out of an S10, and where I sit, it's not comfortable. Let's just put it this way. I got a tilt column. That's a straight column. I'll be putting a tilt column in, and that should move it back a little bit, because where I want to sit is with the seat right there. Because I ain't got nothing going in the back seat, okay? So I want to sit where the seat's kind of right there, all right? So I want that column to come this way just a little bit, and that should solve a little bit of the problems that are going down there. You probably can't see that right now, but there's some issues going on down there on the steering. But I think the biggest thing that would help is to keep the fluid in it, and the pump is leaking fluid out of it, and the steering gearbox is leaking fluid out of it. So the only way for me to get to that steering gearbox is this whole front clip needs to come off. May as well do all that jank right then and there with the engine out, the transmission out of the way, and the front clip off, and then work on these subframes. So what's gonna happen with Sketchy Dick right now is, because of this big ass leak over here, and I don't want to have to be moving them around and having to add transmission fluid to make that up, he's going to go to the other shop right now. He's going to be put on the lift at the top. I'm going to get the front clip off him. This isn't going to happen right away. I've got to work on this, and I seriously need to work on that S10. This will just be, we'll play with Sketchy Dick for the next year, and maybe this time next year we'll have him ready to rock and roll. All right, guys. Well, there's your Sketchy Dick update, and he's the newest family of the Dick family. And yeah, and I'll let y'all know the next time I have a girl, I'll tell you what the girl car is. See, there's a criteria on what a girl is. See, that right there, that's a little girl car, right? It's going to be named Sparkles whenever I get around to working on it. But the rest of these ugly sons of bitches around here are boys. All right, guys, y'all keep rocking and a-rolling and a-rolling and a-rocking. And this was my unexpected gift. All right, guys, y'all have a good one. Keep rocking and a-rolling and a-rolling and a-rocking. I got some grinding it down to do.